So, good morning and welcome to Make It Happen, Future Female Founders, Insights from a Female Entrepreneur. And it's quite apt that we're doing the sessions this week because it is also Global Entrepreneurship Week in the UK and across the world. So there's lots of events happening. And today we are lucky to be joined by Jess Morgan, who is the director of Tiny Wizard Studios. And I'm going to introduce some more information about Jess in a moment, and also by Shantia from Simply Do Ideas. Bear with me, my slides just moving on. So just quickly, some housekeeping for you. Whilst we're live, can you ensure that your microphone is muted? Apologies, there is a bit of feedback on my microphone at the moment, so apologies about that. If you've got any questions, please send them via the chat function, and I'm going to be monitoring these questions throughout the session, and we're going to have a live Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So we'd also like you to think about the ideas for a business that you may have and spend some time after the session reflecting and thinking about how you can take those ideas forward. But we've actually got help here today for you in the form of Shantia from Simply Do Ideas, who's going to take over from myself and Jess following the initial part of the session. And she's going to give you some hints, tips, and some guidance in terms of where you can go for further information, support, and guidance with regards to taking your business ideas forward. So my name's Lina Griffiths, and I am a training and qualifications partner at Chwaraeteg. So I'm going to be your host for today. Jess Morgan is our guest speaker, and Shantia is from Simply Do Ideas, who I said is going to take over from me at the end of the Q&A. So I'd just like to say thank you to NatWest as well, who are the sponsors of this project. And we are running the Make It Happen project alongside Simply Do Ideas. And there's just a quote on the screen for you now that despite the challenges we all face because of COVID, this process has given me a route to follow that's positive, and I urge women in Wales like me to give it a go. And that's from Adele Stewart from South West Wales. And she set up the English Study Centre and is a future female founder. So just because we're in tough times doesn't mean that you can't take your ideas forward. So the Simply Do Ideas platform, this is just a quick start guide, and we're going to be running over this again at the end of the session, and that's when I'll be handing over. But if you'd like to access the Future Female Founders platform, what you need to do is visit www.sdi.click/Make.It.Happen, and then click on your new idea. You'll need to register with your email or use your LinkedIn or Facebook profile. And then you click new idea, and that will get you started. So that's www.sdi.click/Make.It.Happen to start generating your new ideas. So without further ado, I'm going to stop speaking and I'm going to pass you over to the amazing Jess Morgan, who is the director and co-founder of Tiny Wizard Studio. And I absolutely love their strapline. Their strapline is allergic to average, addicted to alchemy. And for anybody that knows me, I love creativity and I love a theme. And I recommend highly that you have a look at their website, because the whole website, has got that whole wizardry theme throughout. So Jess established the business in 2012, and she's going to tell you about her story, the hard graft to where she is today, and the developments that have happened over the last few years. She now manages a team of 9 people where culture and values is key to the organization. So she's going to tell you all about her story, and also hopefully some of the mistakes she's made, and how she's got over them. So welcome, Jess. I'm going to hand you over. I'm going to switch my microphone off, and so you won't get any feedback. So thank you very much, Jess.
Thank you very much for having me. I didn't think I would be this nervous, but I am a little bit, so bear with me. Yeah, as was said, my name is Jess, and I am the co-founder of creative agency Tiny Wizard Studio. We've been in existence in various forms, in various places for about 8 years, nearly 9 now, but we're now based in an amazing studio in Abergavenny. It's based in an old workhouse, so it's quite creepy at night, so we don't tend to work late these days in the winter months, but it's a beautiful, beautiful space. We work with brands, large and small, creating spellbinding marketing materials and content, and that could be rebranding a business, working on campaign materials for print and digital and social, or a speciality in what we really, really love doing and what we do really well is animated promotional videos. And we do a lot of those, and actually over the last year with COVID and everything that's going on, there's a lot of a switch from, you know, exhibitions and conferences and networking to digital marketing. So actually we've been able to help quite a lot of businesses in this tough time be seen through their digital platforms. We work with everyone from independent milk producers in West Wales to large organisations like Welsh Cycling. And really, we just love working with brands and businesses who have an amazing story to tell. That's what we get passionate about. We get passionate about storytelling. And I hope that comes through in our branding and our social content as well, because it really is what we're passionate about. That's who we are, but I need to head back quite a few years to the beginning of the story and where it all began, really. So I graduated from a degree in graphic communication in 2008. I had to look that up. It felt like so long ago. So my background's in graphic design and a bit of illustration. So I graduated, and you know, throughout my whole education and my experience in university was that, you know, if you wanted to be a successful designer, then you needed to move to London. Now there was a problem with that. That wasn't who I was, and there was plenty ambitious designers in university with me who couldn't wait to get to the big city and go and work for some really big, amazing organisations. But I was always a home bird. I love Wales, I love being here, and I had no desire really to go anywhere else. I was born and bred in Cardiff. I went to university in Cardiff, so that was kind of the start of me thinking, you know, how can I still have the successful career that I want and be the creative that I want, but not have to compromise on who I am and where I want to be. I was fairly fortunate actually to land my first job out of university within a few months, and I generally thought I'd landed the jackpot of jobs. I was going to be a creative art worker for a greetings company, and I thought, wow, this is it. This is, you know, the best thing that could ever happen to me. I can be drawing and creating all day, every day. It's going to be fantastic. I was there for about 2 years. I learned so much. I learned so much about design software, creative processes, print processes. And I also learned a lot about working with a team and how to work with quite a large team, because it was a fairly big organization, huge learning curve. And it was a fantastic job until it wasn't. So here's the crucial thing that I left out. It was a greetings company, and I was designing Christmas gift wrap and gift cards all day, every day, even in the summer. It was Christmas 24/7 all the time. And I remember it was summer and it was July, it was boiling hot outside, and I was drawing my like 15th Santa Claus that day. And my eyes started twitching and my palms got a little sweaty, and I was like, this can't be all there is for me. I will go, I will go insane. But as I said, you know, it was a fantastic learning experience. And as well as, you know, the practical learning and the skills that I learned there. I also learned about what sort of environments fueled my creativity, what environments didn't, what sort of teams I wanted to be working with. I also learned a lot about what sort of employer or boss I would want to be if I ever had the opportunity. So it was a really crucial 2 years for me there. Fortunately, I've got a bit of a weird skill of being really persuasive when I want to be. So once I decided that I needed to move on, I managed to land myself a job at a web and app company. And bear in mind, I did that with a portfolio full of Christmas gift wrap. So my sales skills must be pretty all right. And I was there for about a year. I learned so much again about digital design and web and app, and it was a fantastic experience. But through my time there, I also learned that I actually really liked being involved in the entire process. I liked being involved in, meeting customers and the sales bit at the beginning. I liked taking them through the whole journey of the creative process and discovery and presentations and pitches and final delivery. I loved being part of the entire process. And that was something I wasn't involved with in enough. It wasn't, it was a great team. That wasn't my role, but I realized that's what I really wanted. That's what drove me. So I started doing some freelance work, partly to earn some extra cash and partly to fulfill that need, basically, of being part of the whole process from start to finish. And I got to a point where I thought, perhaps I could do this full time. Maybe this is what I should be doing. And I was more passionate about, going out and finding my own clients and finding my own work than I thought I would be. So in 2012, I took the plunge, the very scary leap into freelance design and left my job. And it was absolutely terrifying. I remember going home and crying for about 5 hours, wondering what I'd done and was this the right decision, and a bit of panic stations, really. But if there's one thing I've learned, and I'm still learning it, is a bit of adversity helps. It helps you push yourself harder. It makes you more creative. It helps you find different solutions to things that you never would have thought of before. So from that day, it was right, I need to pay my bills. I've got things that I want to buy, things that I want to do. So I have to really take this seriously and learn everything about being a freelancer and running a business. And it was really, really difficult. I'm not going to lie. It was a case of going from being a designer full-time to being my own business development, sales, marketing, finance, which was a huge, huge learning curve, and doing all the roles that you would get in an agency, basically, but in one person. Obviously on much smaller projects because I was freelancing, but it was a huge learning curve, and it was a challenge, and it was where I learned to adapt pretty quickly. So when, towards the end of the month, it hadn't been that busy, I would say yes to projects I perhaps didn't really know how to do yet and learn as I went along. I would say yes to things that were probably not paid all that well, but I knew they would be a great experience to do. And these days that's sort of shifted a little bit, because obviously we've got a team in place now as well that we need to think about when we're planning projects and taking on clients. But it was a big pressure, but the pressure helped. I think the pressure helped drive me. And the other thing that I realized during this whole process was actually I'd never really felt hugely comfortable in the other roles that I was in, and that was down to culture and values, I think. And I'd always felt like I needed to be a little bit more corporate. I needed to pare back my personality a little bit to fit in with that business's culture and values. There was nothing wrong with those businesses' culture and values, but I didn't fit within them, I didn't feel. And I always felt like I was paring myself back a little bit, which was an uncomfortable situation for me. And once I started freelancing and got more clients in, I discovered that actually I can still be myself. I can dress how I want, talk, speak how I want, obviously within reason. and attract those clients that really want to work with me, really get me and want to, you know, be part of what I'm doing. And I'd also deflect or not rejecting, you know, the other way, the people that didn't get who I was and weren't, you know, weren't down with how I did things or my personality. And at the beginning, that was really scary, because I think in business you feel like you have to adapt and make sure that you attract everyone. But actually, you should be thinking about who you want to work with, the team you want to work with, and working on how you can build a culture and values that attract those people. Because essentially, we all want to be happy. We all want to do something for a living that makes us happy and makes us really, you know, excited to go to work every day. And the fact is that saying yes to things you pretty much, you know, not going to have that much fun doing, or working with people that you don't gel with that well, that's not going to make you happy. So I think at some point there was a bit of a balance shift between making sure I made money and a profit, but also, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want to be happy. So there had to be a balance there somewhere. So I worked for about 3 or 4 years by myself. My husband was working in a job that he wasn't particularly loving at that time, and he'd always dabbled in animation and web design. And then we'd always thought it would be great to combine our skills and build something bigger, but we'd never had the push. And it's what I was saying earlier about a bit of adversity helps you make those decisions and push yourselves. And actually, us expecting our first child gave us that push. When I was pregnant with our first baby, Murphy, I realized that actually I didn't want to take, and I couldn't take an entire year off from the business, because I was a freelancer. No clients are going to wait for me. There's going to be no money coming in. And actually, more than that, I was really passionate about building this culture and building something that I was really excited about, getting up and going to work every day. So we decided as a team that Dave would actually leave his job and be a stay-at-home dad, which was a really big decision for us and a really big life-changing event, really, because we didn't know whether we were going to be able to build a successful business with the two of us. We didn't know if we were going to be able to get through this time of having a young child without a regular steady wage, but it was worth the risk to find out if we could build something that would give us happiness, creativity, and a work-life balance at the end of it, because we didn't want to be going to work every day, not spending enough time at home, and we both had the same goals there, so it had to be an equal decision. So for a year we worked from home while raising a young baby, and then Max came along, our second, and that kind of cemented it then, because it was right, we're grown-ups now, we have to make this work, we have to make a plan, because this needs to be forever, you know, this needs to be what we do forever. We need to build something sustainable to give us that work-life balance, to make us happy and make us passionate about going to work every day. And that's kind of the beginning of this chapter where we're in now. We moved from Cardiff to Abergavenny because it was about making our lives better, and we wanted to be a little bit more rural. We decided that we were at a point that it was just the two of us working, so we could work from anywhere. So we made that decision. And then we got to a little bit of a sticking point, I guess, where we were doing okay, we were functioning, you know, we were able to pay our bills, we had time with the kids, but we couldn't figure out how to get out of that nice plateau, and we couldn't figure out how to grow. And this is where I'll always encourage anyone starting a business to ask for help when they need it. It's not something to be ashamed of when you get to a point and you're like, I don't know what to do next. Ask for help. And that's what we did. So we got ourselves a fantastic business coach who has been with us for the last just over 2 years now. And actually, since she's been with us, she's been guiding us on what steps to take to reach our goals, our ultimate goals, and what steps to take to build the team and culture that I was always really passionate about building. One of my comments to her when we first spoke was, I don't know how I can grow into a business, a bigger business, without losing the personality and culture that I'd worked really hard to cultivate as a freelancer and as a very small business with my husband. But with the guidance, we've managed to do it. We've managed to, in the last 2 years, grow from the 2 of us to 9 of us. We've moved studios twice because we've outgrown where we've been, which has been fantastic. And we're at a point now where we're reimagining ourselves. So when I first started freelancing, my freelance name was Jessica Draws. That's who I was known as because that's what I did. And we rebranded in April to Tiny Wizard Studio because I needed it to reflect the team. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about this whole team, and all with one goal, to let businesses know that they don't have to be super corporate and pared back, and they can build on their personality and they can differentiate themselves from competitors with a strong story and a strong culture and values, and attract those people that they really want to work with, instead of being a one size fits all, we'll suit everyone sort of enterprise. So that's kind of where we're at now, and we're continuing to grow, but we're doing it slowly at the moment because we're trying to communicate who we are and figure out who we are as the new brand, which is super exciting. But what really makes me happy about it is that I feel like you'll have to ask the team if they agree, but I feel like we've created that environment that I always wanted to be in when I graduated, which was an environment where you're heard, you're valued, your opinions matter, and it's a team culture rather than a hierarchical sort of dynamic. And I genuinely feel like everyone enjoys coming to work. The atmosphere is brilliant, and we get so passionate about projects. And when we're not so passionate about projects, or we're not sure we're the right fit to something, we're okay to say that aloud too and say no to things, which is a fantastic position to be in, and we're very grateful for that. But I think that is down to building a really fantastic network of collaborators as well in the industry that we can refer people to if they're a better fit for someone else, and they refer people back to us. So relationship building with clients and with your team is something that we're really passionate about, and I genuinely feel that we've achieved something that I thought was kind of an impossible goal. And now we're looking at attracting the bigger business and the bigger clients, which is hugely exciting, with some campaigns behind that as well. And at the heart of it all will always be team and culture. And we've actually spent a lot of time on our recruitment processes to find the right people. It's not about CVs or skills necessarily. You can teach skills, you can teach attitudes, but you can't teach, enthusiasm and motivation. And frankly, we're all going to be spending a lot more time together than we are with our own families. So I believe that time and effort spent on building the right team is what's helped our success at this point. And the other thing is that I've managed to do it in Abergavenny, which is probably the furthest you could get from a London agency. That I didn't do that on purpose. I thought we'd always be in Cardiff, but actually to be able to build something here when we were always told that London is kind of where you need to be makes me feel really happy. And we've got such a great network, such a great team, and we're slowly building our reputation up now, which is just brilliant. And my role has gone from freelance designer, being a designer and doing all those roles, to mainly being the face of Tiny Wizard Studio, getting out there and doing events like this, talking to clients, making sure that our culture and our values are upheld every day. And that's kind of my role, more so at the moment, because I've got a great team and I can trust them to deliver and do what needs to be done. So I'm hugely, I get quite emotional talking about it, because I genuinely thought that it wouldn't happen. I thought you'd have to be a slightly corporate, pared back, personality stripped business to be a successful business. But actually, we're paving the way, I think, and communicating that actually you don't have to be that at all, which will give younger people starting a business a little bit of insight, I think, and peace of mind, I guess, to know that they can do it their way and they can break the rules a little bit and they don't have to conform to what's gone before to build something great. There's some amazing brands out there that are really pushing those barriers, and I think especially with what's happened this year, I think that will happen even more so now. So I'm excited to see new businesses, new brands come out of the woodwork that have, you know, really said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do it a completely different way, and I'm okay with that. And the people that will buy from me or do business with me, they're the people that will get it. And the people that don't, well, that's fine. There's lots of options. So that's kind of where we are now. And I think I probably talked far much longer than I planned to. So I am sorry. But yes, any questions and any comments would be welcomed. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Jess. That was amazing. I've got a whole stack of questions for you, but we're still welcoming additional questions as well. So if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat function. But one of the questions we've had is, how did you come up with the name? What was the inspiration behind Tiny Wizard Studios and the whole sort of theme around that?
It's a strange one, isn't it? It doesn't seem like an obvious thing, and that was the point, I think. What we always talk about in the studio is how, you know, what we do is actually quite magical because we create something out of nothing. It's alchemy. You know, we create something out of nothing and we turn businesses into profitable businesses. So we're making gold for businesses. So that was kind of the initial idea. I'm also a huge Terry Pratchett fan, and someone said in the studio, it's like, oh, you're the original Tiny Wizard, because it was just me at the beginning, and it kind of evolved a little bit from that, and it was something I hadn't seen before. There was a bit of inspiration from Disney as well, because we're all massive Disney nerds in the studio. So, and we wanted it to, the allergic to average, addicted to alchemy part came first, and then the identity and the brand formed around that, really.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. We've got loads of questions coming in, so I'm going to run through some of those. So do you think you needed to move your business out of your home to be able to focus properly? We've got a lady who freelances at home and she can't get the rest of the family to appreciate that mum and nana isn't able to put a pen down and sort out their problems because she's actually working. And obviously it's worse now because of COVID.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I worked from home for a good 5-6 years, but that was pre-children, so that was kind of okay. And then I got a hot desk and I rented some space in another studio. And I think it all came down to what my ultimate goal was, which was work-life balance. And I felt personally I needed to go to work and then I needed to come home, and I needed to separate the two, because it's very hard work leaving your business when it's your baby, leaving it alone and not answering emails straight away and not, you know, jumping on issues straight away. And it's taken a long time for me to learn to, okay, this is home time now and this is work time when I'm here. And I thought that it would be more of a struggle because I thought, you know, clients would be not sensitive to that fact. But I think as long as you lay your rules down and you're definite about, you know, where you leave work and where your home time is, then I think it's really beneficial for your mind, you know, as well as your schedule. Definitely helps.
That actually links to a question that we had from Claire as well, in terms of how do you maintain a work-life balance juggling a family and a business. So linked onto that then, what are your kind of working hours? Do you sort of flex with your husband? And
yeah, so we've got a bit of a more balanced routine now, because our eldest started school in September, which helped. Our youngest goes to nursery part-time, and we've always done a bit of shift work back and forward, depending on, you know, who was needed most. And there was a lot of years where, you know, one of us or both of us were working in the evenings to make up time. But we were always okay with that because we knew that we were doing it because we wanted to be home and spend more time with the kids. So it was a lot of weird shift work and juggling to begin with, but now we've got a better routine where we're mostly in the office together at the same time, and we take the 2 afternoons that my son isn't in nursery off, and we sort of share those out so we can spend time with him, which helps. Our daughter gets picked up from school and she comes to the office for an hour and a half, 2 hours, but we're trying to stick to a 9 to 5 and leaving work and coming home, and that's what we wanted for the team as well. So they've got some flexibility in, you know, start times and leaving times depending on kids and family commitments, because again, that was kind of the point of what we wanted to do. We wanted to build something where people could have a life and still enjoy coming to work. But it's always going to be a juggle, isn't it? You always feel guilty if you're in work, or you feel guilty if you're home not working. So I think that's a culture and society thing I think we need to talk about more and get out of. But scheduling and planning is key, I think, definitely.
So that actually links into another question we've had from Claire, which is, what do you enjoy doing in your downtime?
Downtime, well, sleeping. Sleeping, because it's quite full on in when we are in work, and it's quite full on at home with the kids. If we're lucky, we'll get them to bed on time so we can sit and have dinner together. And this year's kind of been a write-off, obviously, for any sort of socializing or holidays or anything like that. So, but what we have learned, I think, is to be okay with doing nothing, because I think I'm certainly the personality type that if I'm not doing something and if I'm not achieving something, then I feel like I've wasted my day or my time. So pre-COVID, on the weekends, we were like, right, day trips, we're out here, we're doing this, that and the other, we're booking this. Whereas now we've learned to just relax a little bit on the weekends and just sit and play Lego and watch cartoons and draw on things. So I think our favorite thing at the moment is just being able to not feel pressured to fill every day with an activity, which has been, I still can't relax, to be honest, but I'm trying.
I miss filling every day with activities, I have to say. So as soon as anything's open, I'm there. So Pauline's, so Pauline said, great to hear about how you've succeeded in terms of being authentic to yourself. What are your tips on succeeding in that?
I think you've got to work out your why. So I don't know, I talk about it all the time. There's an amazing TED talk by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. And he's talking about bigger organizations, but I think it's worth watching for your own personal development as well. So why is it that you get up in the morning and do what you do? What are you doing it for? And I think when I sat down and worked that out, it was the work-life balance, it was the culture thing. And then I kind of had to work backwards from that. So it was a case of, what is stopping me not presenting myself as myself? Or, you know, I used to like wear stupid suits and stuff for meetings because I thought that's what people did. And then slowly I learned that people are people. And if you talk to them like human beings and try and make a connection as a human being, instead of thinking you're talking to a title, you know, like CEO or marketing manager or whatever it is, you know, talking to a person, that was my barrier. So then I thought, well, what's the worst thing that could happen if I turned up with my, you know, my jeans on and my crazy shoes that I sometimes wear and, you know, a tattoo showing? The worst case scenario is that person won't like me. So what's the result of that? They might not want to work with us because they might not think we're professional, in which case we might have further issues down the line in the creative process. So is it worth working with those people that you don't get on with and you don't get with and won't accept that you're not a corporate suit? So I kind of worked backwards from that and decided that I probably didn't want to work with those people. So I was just going to go out there and be exactly who I was, and talk about my family and share everything across social and share the mistakes and challenges, which is something I still do and I did quite a lot at the beginning, which opened the doors to a lot of conversations with people who ended up having connections with businesses and organizations, and we liked each other, we built a relationship, and stuff came out from there. So I think being yourself is just so important, and I think it's been a big key to our development. I'm not sure if I answered the question then, but
Yes, you did. We've also had the question in terms of, do you think it made a difference that you started when you were young?
well, how old was I? I was 26 when I left my job. So I was, yes, I was young. I'm 34 now. I think probably yes and no, but I think there's benefits to each side. So I was young, I didn't have any responsibilities as such at the beginning, so it was easier to take that risk, I think, than it would be now at this point. But I think you know yourself a lot better when you're older, so you can make better decisions probably and be more comfortable in those decisions. So I think yes, in some ways, but I think I would have done things differently probably if I was doing it now. I would have done things a lot quicker probably if I was doing it now, if that helps.
It's interesting actually in terms of age. When I was at Cardiff and Vale College, we used to have a guest speaker who came in who she inherited an import-export business when she was in her 60s, and she came in as a guest speaker when she was in her 70s, and she said her life was just beginning because she had
Wow.
to learn all about this business that she'd just sort of fallen on her in her lap one day. She inherited it from somebody that she didn't know particularly well as well.
That's
So you
amazing.
never know when these things can happen, and the
You never
skills that
know.
you can learn at any age.
No, you never know. And also, like I still feel like it's still beginning. So we go through stages and then we evolve a little bit, and then it's the beginning of a new chapter, and I have to learn some new skills or change the way we do things. So it's going to be we've made it and that's it. I think it's just going to be a forever evolving thing, and I'm going to have to change, and the team are going to have to change and ride along with it. You know, just look at this year. We've had to change so much about how we work and what we offer. So I think it doesn't matter, I think, what age you do it, as long as the end goal is, you know what the end goal is. Are you doing it to make you happy? So do that, and then you kind of can't go wrong unless you don't work hard, and then yeah.
Well, Sharon's actually asking, have you ever made a mistake that looking back could have been fatal to the business?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I'm still making them. Like, for instance, this week has been a bit of a huge learning curve for me as a salesperson, because I never was a salesperson, but now I am. Now I'm business development for the business. So I found myself still in freelancer mode when I was talking about this project with a potential client. And in freelance mode, I just said, yeah, totally, we can do it. We can do it for that budget. Yes, I'd love to work on it. And then when you actually go back and think, oh, I shouldn't have done that, because actually there's 3 people that need to work on that. And is it even possible? You know, and then I go back to the office and everyone's like, what did you say that for? So I'm still learning to think before I speak. And I've always been quite spontaneous and fast decisions without thinking. So I'm having to pare that back now. That's something I've learned this week. But, you know, other mistakes were, I think at the beginning of starting to grow, I did put myself under a lot of pressure to do it quickly, which now I'm like, why? Why did I need to do it really, really quickly? We could have just done it at a pace that we could handle, rather than there was a period of time where there was like working 24 hours a day and stress and no sleeping. Whereas I think, who was I doing that for? That didn't make anyone happy. Slow and steady, I think, wins the race, is what I'm learning now. But lots of general stuff. You know, the first year in business, I thought, why do I need to pay an accountant? I'm going to do it myself. And then I messed it up and got fined. So that was definitely a big mistake. And I've learned since, you know, it's the same as asking for help when you need it. you know, we hate it when clients build their own logos in Publisher. So why are we trying to do things ourselves that there are experts out there to do, you know? So it's about building those relationships, yeah, and asking for help when you need it, definitely. But tons. I could probably stand here all day and tell you all the mistakes I've made. But I'm going to be making them for a long time, and I'm okay with it, because that's how you come out and learn and not do it again, and then wait for the other one.
I think the biggest learning curve is making the mistakes, isn't it? Because if you don't make the mistakes, you're not going to sort of turn things around and grow. So as you're saying about people doing logos and publisher and things like that, what's the most fun campaign that you've worked on? Is there one that stands out as being really fun?
Yeah, and it was probably the smallest project we've done in a long time, but it was just, it captured our sort of imagination and hearts, and the client was really trusting and you know, listened to us, which is always a great way to approach a project. But it was for a farm and farmers down in West Wales, and they were right at the beginning of COVID set up a milk delivery business, and they needed branding to go with it. And it was just lovely, you know. It was about the community, it was about going back to their roots, and making things easier for that community with their milk deliveries. But it was really a lovely project to work on, and seeing the bottles with the branding on and the little van, the delivery van going out is lovely. And they're doing amazing on social, so we get a little sneak peek into how they're doing, which is lovely. But it was so nice to work on that. It was beautiful.
There's a really, really interesting question just come in, actually. So you're obviously a freelancer, you're obviously really creative and things like that. So was it difficult for you to let other people to do the creative roles that you obviously love?
That's a great question.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. So when I was freelancing, I was pretty sure that I was really good at what I was doing, and I am really good at what I do. But when we started to think about growing the team and, you know, what those roles would look like, I actually discovered that I know that I want people who are way better than me in my team, who are gonna, you know, question some decisions that I make, or, you know, that doesn't look great, you should try that, and be, you know, actively trying to push boundaries and do better things than I'd done in previous years. So it was hard to let go of the creative control, I think, because I am a bit of a control freak. So, and it was just me dealing with all of it, and now suddenly I'm seeing briefing projects, and I'm seeing them and quality checking them and things like that before they go out. So it was a challenging, like, role shift, but now it's just a pleasure to see what these guys are putting out. And I think that it's I have got no ego over that whatsoever, because I know that they're brilliant at what they do, and actually we couldn't be delivering these amazing projects if it wasn't for them. And I think that's been actively on our recruitment radar when we've been looking for team members, is how good they are and how much better they are than us, and have they got any new ideas. And the beautiful thing about it now is that I get to do it for fun a bit more, which I didn't, because I was doing it day in and day out. The last thing I wanted to do in my spare time was sit there and sketch and draw. But now I'm starting to do that a bit more again, which is really nice.
We've got tons and tons and tons more questions, but we're running out of time because I need to hand over to Shantia. But just one last question. What advice would you give to somebody wanting to start their own business, scared of taking the first step?
I would say have faith that you can get the help you need when you need it. When I started out, none of this was available. There was no, you know, organizations like this. There was no, well, definitely no funding help, no advice centers, no accelerator programs. All this stuff around now is creating this, you know, landscape where now is the best time to start and launch a business. You've got all the resources you need, and people aren't, you know, shy about offering advice and giving feedback on things. You just have to ask. I think if I'd done that sooner, there would have been, I would have done things a little bit differently right at the beginning. But I think, and also, like, if it doesn't work, what's the you just have to go back and, you know, maybe get another job for a bit and rethink things. Or if it doesn't work, you'll learn some valuable lessons and you'll change things and make it work. So I think, and if you don't do it, you'll always wonder if you could have done it. And I think that's the stage I was at in 2012, where I was like, okay, this is okay, but if I don't do it now, I'm less likely to do it. So now is the time. So just take the plunge and know that there's so much stuff out there to help you succeed. Everyone wants everyone else to succeed. You know, we want to see successful people. So yeah, just do it. I know that's a overused term, just do it, but do it and ask for help.
Just do. It's quite interesting, actually. Statistically, over time, during periods of crisis like we're in at the moment, that's when entrepreneurs have traditionally been the most successful in terms of starting out. So a lot of people think, oh no, you know, shouldn't do it at the moment, but actually you never know at the moment what support is out there for you.
And the other thing is, sorry, I've got time for one little extra bit. Now is the time to start business because people are craving connections with brands. It's not, you know, the time of the ageless, faceless corporation is done with. You know, people buy from brands that they connect with their story and they invest in their people and they like who runs it. They want to know the story behind the brand. So now is the best time to be doing that and doing it on your own terms, with your own personality, with your own rules, because people will, you know, be inspired by that. So now is definitely a good time.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Jess, for your time, and thank you for sharing your story. And apologies to the people that have asked questions that we haven't got around to asking. There's been all sorts in terms of whether you and your husband chat about work in your downtime and all sorts of things like that. So right, I'm going to hand you over now to Shantia, who is going to tell you more about the Simply Do platform.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Shanti Salamankan. I'm the Innovation Analyst at Simply Do Ideas. Just want to say a massive thank you to Jessica first, because I really enjoyed that talk and it was very, very interesting. And like Dinah's mentioned, it is a collaborative project between NatWest, Quarteg and Simply Do Ideas. So if you have been also inspired by the chat and would like to make this your time to start a business, then you can go on to www.sdi.click/Make.It.Happen, which is where our little section comes in, and we've got a platform set up for you where it will take you through a simple 6-step process of turning your idea into something a little more fleshed out. It will help you give a structure on how you may want to consider things for starting your business. This can be from just putting what the description of the business is, right up to how your money you believe will be coming in and out. It won't be anything too heavy. It's just a simple thing to think about as you're going through, to give you an idea of how you can start up your business. And like we've said, and it's been said in the past, there is a lot of support here in Wales. So we're not claiming to do everything all together, and that's why we've partnered with some great companies who specialize in business support and can help you through accelerators and financial discussions and things like that. So once you do submit your idea in, I want to stress again that your idea is yours. You know, this will only be shared between the companies who I've mentioned just now, that's Quarteg and Simply Do Ideas, so no one will take your idea. This is your own intellectual property. And once you've submitted, we'll look over it, talk it with you, and then pass you to the correct business support that you will need, whether that is Princess Trust, that is Business Wales, NatWest. We've got them all ready and waiting and so wanting to help you start on your journey to success. And if at any point you do get stuck while completing your idea, there is a chat function in the platform. So there is always a person on hand from the Simply Do Ideas team that can just provide some help and some guidance while completing that process. So that's everything from me, and I'll pass you back to Dinah.
Bear with me, sorry about that. I just moved the control panel out of the way, just in case it was blocking the screen there. So without further ado, I just want to say a massive thank you to Jess for being our future female founder today, and talking us through her story. I mean, I've still got loads of questions in terms of, do you still celebrate Christmas? Is it so magical? Oh, yeah, microphone's off, Jess.
Yeah, Christmas is going to be even more magical with all the wizard hats and wands around the place. Don't worry.
I was a bit worried when you were saying, you know, you sort of Christmas 24/7. I was like, does she still celebrate Christmas? Is the magic still
It's
there?
okay. I'm over it now. I've recovered from that 2-year stint.
You've recovered from the trauma. So thank you very much for your time today. So as Jess said, I would highly recommend having a look at Jess's website, so Tiny Wizard Studios, because I just love it. It's, you know, the whole theme is there and it's so creative and amazing.
Thank you.
And then thank you as well, Shantia, for joining us today and telling us about the Simply Do Ideas platform. So if anybody would like to get in touch with Jess, do you want to let them know your email address?
Yeah, absolutely. So my email address is jessica@tinywizardstudio.com. You can also find me on all of the social media platforms. Obviously, I'm still Jessica Draws on Instagram because I haven't emotionally let go from that yet. But message me anywhere and I'd be glad to answer any questions or offer any advice. But yeah, anytime.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jess. So I highly recommend taking a look at the Simply Ideas platform, and it'll help you to work through your business idea from sort of that ideas generation stage through to being signposted to the support agencies that are available in Wales to take your business idea forward. So thank you very much, everybody, for taking part today. Thank you for all the questions that we've had as well. And look forward to seeing people online tomorrow and also Thursday, where we're going to be joined by 2 more entrepreneurs who are going to tell their stories. So thank you very much.